doctors and medications and all that. So I'm glad that in spite of his poor health. I think Zia Saab, some of you know, has been very active with the Family of the Heart, presenting, organizing, orchestrating, inspiring, interacting in a very peaceful way, and always a lot of respect. Some of you are interested in poetry, and especially in Ghalib. I really feel, I admire his attempt that he has been translating Ghalib's Urdu poetry into English for the younger generation and all those people who cannot speak Urdu. The philosophy of Ghalib and his poetry has been transformed. I was requesting him yesterday that he should publish it in the form of a book so that people can read it and have a discussion. So Zia Sahab, you don't have to come here, you can stay there if you want. If you want to use the microphone, you're more than welcome. Otherwise the voice, I think, is loud enough for us to.
Yeah, I think I can match your voice, don't worry. The relevance of Quran in the 21st century. Whether Quran is relevant or not in the 21st century will begin to make more sense if we study the relevance of religion in our lives and the nature of the book itself. It is not only the West that has a distorted image of Islam, most Muslims have it too. This is due primarily to the reliance on the orthodox fundamentalist interpretation of it. Now the common Muslim is as simple and naive as the common Christian, Jew, or for that matter a follower of any other religion. Each one is absorbed in their day-to-day pursuits of basic survival without much time and inclination for complexities. One seeks some peace and solace in religion, but finds no remedy in the orthodox preaching and the mundane sermons from the pulpit. Most fundamentalist preaching tends to take one back instead of forward, both in time and ideas. And so, most worshippers perform their routine rituals without ever reflecting on the meaning and reason for them. All monotheistic religions preach a similar end, and that is submission to the will of the Creator. If submission is willing and conscious, it results in attainment of harmony with nature. If unwilling and unconscious, the result is the agony of conflict. Every religion aims at the uplift of man, and the basic axioms of all religions are the same. For none preaches loot and plunder, none teaches to kill or maim. Each tries to channelize the animal nature of man for the common good of humanity. Islam too promotes these values. Islamic philosophy is geared towards the understanding of one's self and suggests measures for self-correction, both in relation to other human beings and to nature itself. The greatest flaw in the fundamentalist approach to Islam is that they preach that there is only one solution to any problem and that all solutions are recipes in the book. A closer view of the Quran, however, shows that it is a book of knowledge based on A. Lessons from historical episodes, B. Guidelines for legal framework, and C. A philosophy of life. It will continue to be a classic and a book for all times if it is studied as such. If it is taken as a black and white prescription for all ills, it will at times be used out of context, for then the book will be found to contradict itself and will be discarded and discredited eventually. As the changing of times is a dynamic process, events of today cannot be explained by facts of yesterday alone. It is inbuilt in the nature of man to inquire, seek and find. When all else fails and his own efforts have been exhausted, one turns to Mother Nature, which in its classical fundamental form is known as God or the Deity. The answer is in fact released or revealed by one's own inner self, or if you wish to call it, the overself, as in the end both are the extensions of the same self. The answers come in a number of ways. The solution may appear in a dream, there may be a flash of intuition, one may make auto-suggestions to oneself. These again may either be conscious, those which one is fully aware of, or are based on one's rational thoughts, or unconscious, whereby the hidden idea comes to the surface like a balloon, like a bubble rising from within the depths of oneself in a hitherto inexplicable manner. This is the same form in which some of the deepest thinkers like sages, prophets, and men of spiritual elevation get their knowledge and wisdom. As this form of release of information is still commonly unfathomed and is not completely rationalized, it is usually pushed in the background and not readily accepted. Modern science is making much effort in the study and functioning of the brain and the mind, and will perhaps come up with some plausible explanation of this phenomena also. This uncontrolled and unconscious enlightenment has been termed as revelation. Such means of communication has been established by only a few, called the enlightened ones, those who have fathomed the means to tap into the mysterious cosmic consciousness and perhaps understand its message. To attain this level of rapport with the source, one has to liberate oneself from the mundane traps of physical hindrances and become able to communicate with the deepest of one's inner depths. It is said, all knowledge lies buried within and has to be exposed and brought to a conscious level by a concerted, laborious, and painstaking process of disciplining oneself for self-exploration and self-discovery. The Quran itself says, O man, you have to strive and go on striving towards your Lord. Then will you meet Him. 84:6. Primarily, the Quran seems to be a monologue of the Creator, either with its messenger or through him with others. Its revelations reflect the thought process of the Prophet. When it addresses the votary directly, it does so in the form of autosuggestions. It gives him advice, direction, assurance, and sometimes even reprimand. It seems to provide answers to the questions the Prophet sought, either explicitly or implicitly, revealing to him truths of episodes of historical significance and the happening with other prophets, their experiences and their handling of various situations, and the doings of human beings in general. It suggests solutions for a variety of circumstances and explains the principles behind many of them. Of greatest importance is the universal philosophy of the Quran and its overall worldview, encompassing not only the earth and the heavens, but also all that lies between them. The Prophet derived knowledge and instruction from the Quran, practiced its preachings, and thus, in fact, seemed to have lived it in its entirety. This is because the personality that received and perceived the message was an impeccably honest, forthright, and a righteous individual with the welfare of humanity at heart. He was thus unique in his own thought process. Only he could have had a complete understanding of how, when, and why those thoughts came to him. Now therefore, only the Prophet could have lived the Quran in its entirety. All the rest of us can only make our individual efforts to fathom his thought process to the level of our own understanding and knowledge of it, and try to emulate it. An all-encompassing theory would remain current even with the passage of time. It should be dynamic and be able to explain situations within its existing laws. Only a natural theory can be such a vehicle. The religious idea based on this natural theory can be ever current and practicable at all times, because it is based on the axioms of nature. This is what Islam is. It is a dynamic philosophy because it preaches the understanding, aligning and adherence to the dictates of the laws of cause and effect. You must be dying to ask the question that if this is so, why are Muslims so miserable and downtrodden in the world? The only answer to that is that they do not understand their own religion